November 12, 1956, 8:34 p.m. The Palm Restaurant, Midtown Manhattan. Frank Costello was hosting a dinner. 20 people, mob bosses, associates, business partners. Bumpy Johnson was invited as a courtesy, a show of respect between the Italian families and Harlem's independent operator. Neutral territory, good food, civilized conversation. That's what it was supposed to be, but Frank's nephew, Vincent Costello, 29 years old, 3 years in the family business, had been drinking. Not stumbling drunk. Just loose. Confident. The kind of drunk where you say things you'd normally keep to yourself. Vincent was sitting 4 seats down from Bumpy, talking loud, making jokes, getting laughs from the younger guys at the table. Then he looked at Bumpy, pointed with his wine glass. You know what I don't understand? How Bumpy Johnson is still at this table. The guy's what, 52? 53? That's ancient in this business. Most guys his age are either dead or retired, but here he is, acting like he still matters, acting like Harlem is still relevant. Newsflash, Bumpy. Your time was the 40s. This is 1956. You're washed up. The table went silent. Frank Costello's face hardened. Vincent, that's enough. Vincent ignored his uncle, kept going. I'm just saying what everyone's thinking. The old guard is done. It's our turn now. And Bumpy here, sitting at this table like he's still important, it's embarrassing. For him and for us. Bumpy set down his fork, looked at Vincent calmly, and said absolutely nothing. Just looked. That stare. The one that made grown men reconsider their choices. But Vincent was too drunk, too young, too confident to recognize danger. What? You got something to say, old man? Or are you too washed up to even respond? Bumpy picked up his napkin, wiped his mouth, stood up, looked at Frank Costello. Thank you for dinner, Frank. It was excellent as always. Then he walked out. No argument, no threats, no scene, just left. Vincent laughed. See? Can't even defend himself. Washed up. 7 days later, Vincent Costello checked his mailbox. What he found inside that envelope, what evidence it contained, what secrets it revealed, made Vincent drive directly to his uncle's house at midnight, begging for protection. Because Bumpy Johnson had just shown him that being washed up and being underestimated are two very different things. Vincent Costello came from privilege. His uncle was Frank Costello, one of the most powerful mob bosses in America. That connection opened every door, got him into the business without proving himself, without earning respect, without learning the most important lesson. In this world, reputation is currency, and you don't insult someone's reputation unless you're prepared for the consequences. The morning after the dinner, Vincent woke up hungover. Vague memory of the night before. Something about insulting someone. He called his friend Tony. Tony, what happened last night at dinner? You don't remember? Not all of it. You called Bumpy Johnson washed up. To his face, at Frank's dinner, Vincent's stomach dropped. Oh, God, I said that out loud? Yeah, multiple times. What did Bumpy do? Nothing, just left. That's it? That's it. Vincent felt relief. Okay. So nothing happened. If Bumpy was going to do something, he would have done it right there. Tony wasn't so sure, or maybe he's just planning something better than a restaurant fight. Over the next week, Vincent forgot about it. Went back to his routine, collections on Monday, meeting with a union boss on Tuesday. Card game Wednesday night where he won $3,000 and told the story again about calling Bumpy washed up. Everyone laughed, some nervously, but Vincent took the laughter as validation. Thursday he collected from 3 policy banks in Queens. Friday he had lunch with Albert Rossi, the Genovese associate, finalizing their secret gambling operation. The whole week, normal business, no sign of Bumpy, no messages, no threats, no consequences. What Vincent didn't know was that every single day that week he was being followed. Marcus Tallboy Hayes on Monday, Willie Fish Jackson on Tuesday, Illinois Gordon on Wednesday, Raymond Quick Lewis on Thursday. Different people, different cars, professional surveillance, the kind where you never know you're being watched. They photographed Vincent's meetings, documented his movements, recorded times and locations, built a file, a comprehensive file. By November 19th, a week after the dinner, Vincent figured he'd gotten away with it. Told his friend Tony over drinks that night that maybe Bumpy really was washed up. Too old to care about the disrespect. Too tired to respond. Tony wasn't convinced. You sure about that? Vincent laughed. It's been a week. If he was going to do something, he would have done it by now. Old man probably forgot about it already. Got bigger things to worry about than what some drunk guy said at dinner. Tony shook his head. I don't know, Vinny. Bumpy Johnson doesn't strike me as the forgetting type. Vincent waved him off. Trust me, nothing's going to happen. That afternoon, Vincent checked his mailbox at his apartment building, 425 East 89th Street, Upper East Side, nice building, doorman, security, safe. He opened his mailbox. Inside was a single manila envelope, no stamp, no address, just his name written in neat handwriting, Vincent Costello. He took it upstairs, sat at his kitchen table, opened it. Inside were 3 things, 3 photographs, 3 pieces of paper, 3 secrets that Vincent thought nobody knew. The first photograph showed Vincent meeting with Detective Richard Morrison, NYPD corrupt cop, on the Costello payroll. The photo was dated October 15th, 1956. Clear shot. Both faces visible. Vincent remembered that meeting. He'd paid Morrison $5,000 to tip him off about a police raid. Standard corruption. Happened all the time. Except Vincent had told his uncle the payoff was $3,000, had pocketed the extra $2,000. Small theft, insignificant, except Frank Costello had a rule. You don't skim, ever, not even pocket change. The Costello family's reputation was built on honesty within the organization. You could lie to outsiders, but never to family. Vincent had broken that rule, and someone had photographed it. The second photograph showed Vincent at a jewelry store, November 2nd, 10 days ago. He was buying a diamond bracelet, $8,000, Vincent remembered. It was for Diane, his mistress. Vincent was married to Angela, Frank Costello's goddaughter. The marriage was business, arranged, strengthened family ties. But Vincent had been seeing Diane for 8 months, keeping it secret. Because if Frank found out Vincent was disrespecting his goddaughter, the consequences would be severe. And someone had photographed him buying jewelry for his mistress. The third photograph was the worst. Vincent meeting with Albert Rossi. November 8th, 4 days ago. Rossi was a rival associate, working for the Genovese family. The Costellos and Genoveses were in a cold war, not open conflict, but not friendly, strict rules, no fraternization, no business, no contact. Vincent had violated that rule. Why? Because Rossi had offered him a side deal, a gambling operation in Queens, split profits, $10,000 a month extra. Vincent had said yes, had been planning to keep it secret, run it quietly, never tell Frank, and someone had photographed that meeting too. All 3 photos, all 3 secrets, all in one envelope. No note, no threats, no demands, just the photos, and the message was clear. I know everything. I've been watching. I have proof. And I can send this to Frank Costello whenever I want. Vincent's hands were shaking. He looked at the envelope again. No return address. But he knew who sent it. Bumpy Johnson. The man he'd called washed up. The man he'd said didn't matter anymore. The man who'd said nothing at the dinner. Had just walked away. While Vincent was drunk, bragging, insulting, Bumpy had been planning, watching, collecting. For an entire week, Bumpy's people had followed Vincent, photographed his meetings, documented his secrets, and now Bumpy held all the leverage. If Frank saw these photos, Vincent was done. The skimming meant he was a thief. The mistress meant he disrespected the family. The Genovese meeting meant he was a traitor. Any one of those things could get him killed. All 3 together? Certain death. Vincent grabbed his car keys, drove straight to Frank Costello's house, arrived at 11:47 p.m. Frank's butler answered, looked surprised. Mr. Vincent, it's quite late. I need to see my uncle. Now. It's an emergency. The butler let him in. Called upstairs. 5 minutes later, Frank came down, wearing a robe, annoyed. Vincent, this better be important. Uncle Frank, I need to show you something. We need to talk. Privately. They went to Frank's study. Vincent pulled out the envelope, handed it to Frank. Frank looked through the photos. His face showed nothing at first, then anger, then cold calculation. He set the photos on his desk, looked at Vincent. Explain. Uncle, I can. Vincent held up his hand. No lies, no excuses. Explain. Vincent told him everything, the skimming, the mistress, the Genovese meeting, every secret, every mistake. When he finished, Frank was silent for a long time. Who sent these? Vincent hesitated. Bumpy Johnson. Frank's eyebrows raised. Bumpy? Why would Bumpy send me evidence against you? He didn't send them to you. He sent them to me, to my mailbox, to show me he knows, to show me he could send them to you anytime he wants. Frank understood immediately, started laughing. Not happy laughter, impressed laughter. You called him washed up, to his face, at my dinner. Yes. And he didn't respond, just left. Yes. And now, a week later, he sends you photos of every rule you've broken, every secret you've kept, everything that could get you killed. And he sends them to you, not to me. Why would he do that, Vincent? Vincent didn't answer. Frank answered for him. Because he's giving you a chance. He could have sent these to me directly, could have gotten you killed without warning, but instead, he sends them to you first, gives you the opportunity to come clean, to confess, to beg for mercy. That's not the action of someone who's washed up. That's the action of someone who's smarter than everyone else in the room. What do I do? Frank leaned back in his chair. You have two choices. One, you ignore this. Pretend it didn't happen. Hope Bumpy doesn't send the photos to me. But he will. Eventually, when you least expect it, when it causes maximum damage. Or two, you go to Bumpy Johnson, you apologize, you acknowledge you were wrong, you show respect. And maybe he accepts it and this ends. Vincent swallowed hard. You want me to apologize? To him? I want you to survive. And right now, Bumpy Johnson holds your life in his hands. So yes, you apologize, you grovel, you do whatever it takes. Because the alternative is, I receive these photos officially, and I have to act on them, and acting on them means I can't protect you. Do you understand? Yes, Uncle Frank. Good. Now get out of my house. It's midnight. And Vincent, if you ever insult someone like that again, at my dinner table or anywhere else, I won't wait for photos. I'll handle it myself. November 20th, 1956, 10:23 a.m. Vincent Costello walked into Small's Paradise, Bumpy's territory, asked to speak with Mr. Johnson, was led upstairs to Bumpy's office. Bumpy was sitting behind his desk, reading a newspaper, looked up when Vincent entered. Mr. Costello, what can I do for you? Vincent stood there, pride fighting with fear. Fear won. I came to apologize for what I said at the dinner. It was disrespectful. It was wrong. It was stupid. I'd been drinking. That's not an excuse. But I wanted you to know. I'm sorry. Bumpy set down the newspaper, looked at Vincent for a long moment. You called me washed up, said I was irrelevant, said my time was over. Yes, sir. And now you're standing in my office, in my territory. Apologizing. What changed? Vincent pulled out the envelope, set it on Bumpy's desk. You sent me this. Bumpy didn't touch it, didn't look at it. I don't know what you're talking about. Mr. Johnson, please. The photos, the proof. Everything you know. I understand the message, and I'm here to make it right. Bumpy leaned back in his chair. Let me tell you something, Vincent. When you called me washed up, you made a mistake. Not because it hurt my feelings, not because it damaged my reputation, but because it showed everyone at that table that you don't understand how power works. Real power isn't about age, isn't about being loud, isn't about making statements. Real power is about information, about patience, about knowing when to act and when to wait. You thought I was too old to matter, too past my prime to respond. But while you were drinking and bragging, I was watching, learning, preparing. And now I know everything about you, every mistake, every secret, every vulnerability. That's not the action of someone who's washed up. That's the action of someone who's been doing this longer than you've been alive. Vincent nodded. I understand that now. Good. So here's what's going to happen. Those photos stay with you. I don't need them. You know I have copies. You know I can send them to Frank anytime. That knowledge is enough. You're going to live with that fear every single day. Every time you see your uncle, you're going to wonder if today's the day he gets the photos. Every time you do something you shouldn't, you're going to wonder if I'm watching. And you're never going to disrespect me again. Because now you know. Being old doesn't mean being weak. It means being patient. And patience always wins. Vincent left that office a different person. Scared, humbled, educated. He never spoke about Bumpy Johnson again. Never joked, never bragged, never insulted. Years later, in 1965, a reporter asked Vincent about Bumpy's reputation. Vincent's answer was immediate. Bumpy Johnson is the smartest man I ever met. And I learned that the hard way. Never confuse age with weakness, never confuse silence with inability. And never, ever call someone washed up unless you're prepared to find out just how wrong you are, the reporter pressed. What happened? What did he do? Vincent smiled. Let's just say he taught me respect. Without ever raising his voice, without ever making a threat, he just showed me proof that he knew everything about me, and that was more terrifying than any violence could ever be. If this story showed you that information is more powerful than intimidation, hit subscribe. Drop a like if you understand that patience and preparation beat reaction every time. Comment what you would have done if you received that envelope. More stories of delayed consequence coming next.